I want to talk about, I've talked about this before, but I think it's really important, um, especially as if you start to have some consistent pains in your body, if things start to bother you on a regular basis and you ignore them. So, for instance, I'm back to swimming. I'm so excited to be able to swim again. But I have a shoulder issue that just kind of keeps talking to me. And I think if you constantly persist doing an activity, whether it's yoga or any other form of exercise that you enjoy, and your body's starting to talk to you about a problem that it's having, and you keep doing the same thing and like hitting the hammer on the same nail over and over again, eventually you're going to end up having a deeper problem. So, in the Yoga Sutra, there's this, there's one of the sutras, I can't remember which one, but it talks about the pain of the future can be avoided by the actions of today. So when you find yourself having either a new or chronic little thing that's happening, small enough where you can ignore it, and keep persisting in the patterns that you've chosen. And I'm not just talking physically, this can be any kind of pattern that you have in your mind, thinking pattern or an emotional pattern or a relationship pattern, something that's not quite working right, and you just keep at it. Eventually it's going to come to a head where there's going to be a bigger problem to adjust to. So the pain of the future can be avoided if we can just allow ourselves to be creative in cultivating solutions that are healthier, whether it's in our relationships or in our body or whatever we're working at. But it requires a lot of attention and a lot of skillful creativity and persistent attention. When things are small, they're easy to ignore, and the bigger they get, the harder they are to ignore. But as always, problems, if you solve a problem today before it gets worse, things will be easier. So this is where our yoga practice can really step up. The interoception that we develop, the ability to really know our inner being. And once again, I'm not just talking physically, but to really understand how your mind works and how your emotional states are and how your physical body is. The more in tune you get with those things and really pay attention and honor what you're sensing and make adjustments, the better off you'll be. So this is not easy to do. Small problems are easy to ignore. And so, how does your practice affect you? So how we're going to work with this physically in our practice today is with the three pillars of support that all yoga postures really need. So we can access this in our physical body and then hopefully kind of bring this into the bigger dimensions of our being. So the pillars of what we're looking for in an asana is, first of all, can you breathe? So if you can't breathe, if there's something in your body that just stops you from being able to have a good deep flow of breath, whether it's you're working too hard or working inefficiently, or there's pain, or you're trying not to fall down so you think you hold your breath and that will help you, whatever physical or emotional reasons for you holding your breath, pay very close attention. Some of it could just be habit. Breath holding is a habit. So the more we can cultivate steady flow of breathing through our practice, this is one of our pillars of support that we need to look for. And if we can't find the breath, we need to back away from what we're doing and make a change. The second is feeling for a sense of stability in the physical body, in the mind as well. So if you are in a balance pose and you're not feeling stable, what can you do? Can you make the mind more stable? Can you grab for some support against a wall? Can you change where you are in space? Are you able to find stability? And even when you're not on one foot or something, stability is an internal sensing of groundedness and support. So look for this in your interoception as a guiding light for your pose. And then the third is freedom. So ease and freedom in the body and mind. So if you are struggling, tensing, holding something from a bind instead of from a deeper sense of solidity, this can be a cue for you to back away as well. So look for stability, look for breath, look for ease or freedom that comes through every single posture. Look for these things. And if you struggle with them, if one of those three pillars are missing, back away. So this is where we start to let our ego not drive our postures. And this is also the beauty of practicing in your own home. It takes away the nervousness around, well, everybody else can do it and I can't, or I should look like that, but I don't, or I wish I looked like that, but I don't. And so, the mind games that we can play when we're practicing, sometimes in our own home, we give ourselves a little more permission to stop, to make a change, to adjust something. So try to not let the ego drive your postures, but let the cues that the body are giving of stability, freedom, and breath be your solid ground. So yielding has a little bit of all three embedded within it. So I think that's a good place to start. Finding these three sources is in your yielding practices. And then the last thing I want to mention is pain. So if your joints are giving you a cue that you are doing something that's painful, if you get a siren, like a red alarm in a joint, this is something never to ignore. It could just mean that you need a creative solution. Like I've been having a problem in my hip, and I have found some creative solutions of movement that I never thought would heal it, and it's helping. So whatever works for you, let that happen to help you. So don't ignore pain. Don't ignore pain. If you have pain in your knee when you're coming into a lunge, back away. Find a different pathway, and don't listen to pain. Okay, or listen to pain. Okay, so I'm going to just mute you all one more time because I'm hearing some things. And let's go ahead and get going in our practice. So close your eyes and drop in. Okay, let's find a comfortable seat. How are you in space? Are you able to be comfortable seated, or do you need to make a change? Do you need to be on your back or standing? So be unconventional in your creativity about how to access your practice. Poses can look really funny and be really great, really supportive. So lose the mentality of looking a certain way and gain a mentality of feeling a certain way. So let's access the breath now. Come into the steady, smooth pace of breath. Unbind whatever's binding your breath, whether it be in your neck and shoulders or around your ribs or diaphragm. See if you can let go of any tethers that are preventing you from the fullness of your breath. Enjoy the sensation of breathing, both your inhale and your exhale. And find the steady. Okay, so it doesn't matter how fast or slow your pace is, find the steady. Now start to find the stability along with the steady. Where are you touching the ground? Feel whatever's touching the ground. Can you allow your pelvis to be broad and supportive? Maybe you need to move a little bit. Maybe you need to rock forward or back until you find a place where the ground beneath you kind of broadens out and gives you a wide sense of support. Can you notice as you have subtle movements where the spine sits very comfortably? Is there an efficiency to stability? And when you find that sweet spot of where your spine likes to rest on your pelvis, notice if there's ease there. And start to seek the ease in your body as well. So the eyes are soft, the shoulders are soft. Creating space, freedom, ease brings room for breath. Breath brings room for yielding. Yielding brings room for stability. So feel how these forces really play and dance with each other in your physical and mental body. And then before we come out of the seated posture, scan and just take note. Even if you don't have pain in this area right this minute, everybody knows their spots, right? The spots that kind of speak to you on a fairly ongoing basis. Can you commit in your practice today to ask these areas of your body what they need, to listen to the answers, to offer creative solutions, to not ignore, and just carry forth same as usual, because habit is comfortable. So take a little notice now where those places are that you're going to pay particular attention to. And let's bring our hands to our heart and offer a deeper intention for your practice. What can stability and freedom and breath, those are powerful forces to cultivate, not just in our body, but in our mind. So if you have a little extra of those after practicing today, what do you need that for? What do you need stability for? What do you need freedom for? What do you need breath for? Okay, and then release the hands. Let's come onto our back. So take time, notice, stretch your arms, and perhaps arms overhead immediately makes one of your shoulders hurt, and you think, I'm not going to lift my arms over my head the whole practice today, and maybe commit on that kind of level. Or maybe you're committing on a creative level like, no, maybe a little movement, if I choose different vectors, can be helpful. So listen, be creative. Let's stretch our sides, right side, left side, just finding the way into movement that feels right and good to you. Notice the invigoration through your nervous system when your arms are overhead. Okay. And then bring your knees into your chest and rock around a little bit. And notice the change in your nervous system. And as you start to rock, notice what the nervous system, what the feedback to the nervous system is, just from the simple art of rocking. So get to know the subtleties of your practice. Instead of the big bang movements, how do these small things impact your well-being on lots of different levels? Okay, unwind your legs. Come onto your back. Stretch your arms and legs wide and melt into the floor. So honor the yielding, give way into the earth. Can you drop the bones, make them feel just a smidge heavier? A mini Shavasana before we begin. Breathe into all the space in your body. Find all the open windows, breathe into all of them. Notice how good it feels to just rest on the floor and breathe. Sometimes the habits are just ones of busyness in the mind or body that prevent us from slowing down enough to look at the patterns that maybe aren't serving us best. All right, let's bring our knees into our chest. Pick up your head, squeeze in a little bit. And then inhale, stretch big and wide, starfishing on the floor. Arms go where you want them, legs go where you want them. Once you're out there, squeeze whatever muscles you have access to. Just find everything you can. And then bring your knees into your chest and do the same. Pick up your head, squeeze your face, squeeze everything you can, turn the lights on. And then relax your head down, knees into your chest, hold onto your knees and circle a few directions each way, or a few turns each direction. Notice your spine, your sacrum, your sacroiliac joints. See if you can see if one pattern of movement feels more familiar than the other, probably. Is there comfort in one direction that's outside of habit? And then right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor. Feel free to move into any vector of movement. So part of being creative in your body is trying different things, different positions of holding joints so that you can find any little slips, any little windows that give you a better range of motion. Feel free to wiggle out your toes and move your ankles. Wake up your bare feet, especially if you've had shoes on much of the day today. See what it feels like to open your bare feet up. And then change sides. Left knee into the chest, right leg long on the floor. Extend the spine. Once again, find the place where your knee is most comfortable in that hip rotation and wiggle the toes and feet out here. Deepening your breath. Already start to find that your breath is your guide. All right, great. And then put your 2 feet on the floor, feet a little wider than hips, and just windshield wiper your knees left and right. Put your arms where you want them. Just loosen up the rotation of the pelvis, the sacrum, the low back. All right, great. And then let's go ahead and roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so find what feels good. Hands and knees on the floor. Start moving through some cat-cows. So take your time here. Notice, maybe ripple through each vertebrae one at a time. See if you can go deep inside and notice each joint. If there's any hiccups along the way, any places that are a little tight or snug, is there any niggle of pain that you have in any specific area of your spine? Is there any place that you need to kind of shore up with some more stability that feels a little unstable or weak? And then feel free to move things around. You can move your shoulders, feel your ribs, move your pelvis, move your head, any kind of movement that's helpful. So one of the creative ways of moving the body is to remember that movement itself is very freeing for a lot of soft tissue. So if your joints tend to hurt from just being still for a while, you get out of bed and you limp because your feet hurt, you get up from a chair, you limp because your SI joint hurts, whatever you're finding, remember that just simple movements can be some of the best things you can do to keep that fluidity in your body. Come up into dog pose when you're ready. Stretch out through your hands and your feet and notice what's here. So sometimes when my shoulder hurts, bringing my hands much closer together is one way that I feel less pain. I don't know if that'll work for you. Maybe you need to go wider. My point is just experiment and play in your body. Try to take the path less traveled. Sometimes you have to explore in order to find the right way. So let go of the quote unquote right way and find your right way. So there's some definite alignment principles that can be held while still having lots of range of motion for creativity of movement. There doesn't have to be, you don't have to follow a recipe exactly. Lift the femur bones up and back, stretch through the bottom of the feet. Are you moving? Are you still? What are you doing? How's your neck? Can you relax it? Can you settle into the breath, the feeling of yielding and stability, the feeling of freedom? And even if you don't have it everywhere in the body, find places, pockets where you feel stable, where you feel able to breathe, where you feel free. And then walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana, fold in half a little bit. Feel free to move your shoulders around, move your head around, move your tail around. Once again, sometimes free-flowing movement can be most helpful for joints. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine gets longer, the feet are broader, the sit bones lift. Exhale and bend and fold. Let's repeat that one more time. Halfway lift, maybe your hands are on your thighs or your shins. Exhale and melt and fold. Push off your feet. Round up, lifting the arms to the sky, lean back a little bit, open the heart. Exhale and release your arms back and around. Lift your shoulders. Let's do a few rolls through your shoulders, up toward the ears, shoulder blades sliding and gliding on the rib cage, and then go the other direction. See what it feels like, and let the spine find some fluidity in this movement pattern too. And relax, shrug your shoulders up. Big breath, exhale, and let it go. Separate your feet a little wider than your hips, and let's swing and let the spine open in some gentle twisting. So going from side to side, letting the arms come out. Maybe the arms want to be lower, maybe the arms want to be higher. Just find whatever range of motion helps that freedom along the thoracic spine in particular. How are you breathing? All right, and then go ahead and rest back into a neutral place. Inhale, reach the arms up, lean back, open the ribs again, and then place the hands down toward the heart. Pause in the center for a moment. See if you can feel that plumb line through the body, either with your hands at your heart, or maybe you want to relax your arms down at your sides. See if you can take for a moment that little pause where you can feel the yielding. So close your eyes, spread out the bones of your feet. Maybe you need your feet wider apart or closer. See what it feels like to unlock your knees and melt a little deeper into the earth. How's your diaphragm melting into the earth? Can you feel your belly open and become more free on your inhales? Do you have that sense of stability coming on the exhales? Can stability mean something other than a grip or a tightening of muscles? So of course, muscles can stabilize joints. This is a beautiful action of our muscles. But see if you can find stability coming from something deeper than just muscles hugging. Can you find it from the efficiency of your plumb line to the earth? The way that your bones stack to be most efficient in your posture. And play around. Do you need to pull your head back or forward, your shoulders back or forward? Does the angle of your pelvis need to be a little different? See and experiment. Trickle down from your crown to your feet to discover where your center plumb line really lives. Once you have a little access to that, yield into the earth. Find your breath. Notice if efficiency is both stable and free. Efficiency of bones stacking. Is it stable and free? Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bend your knees, swan dive forward. Relax the head. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Let's go ahead and step our left foot back. Right foot is forward, coming into a lunge on this side. Finding our movement that we often do here. Squaring the hips, straightening the leg, bowing the head, breathing. Coming into range of motion. Can you feel where your endpoints of your range of motion, both an extension of the back of your front leg, as well as extension of the front of your back leg? Just find where those boundary points are. Are you enjoying yourself? Does it feel good to be in your body? Does it feel good to be breathing? Come into a lunge. Rise up. Maybe your crescent lunge needs a little support. Maybe your arms need to be somewhere other than the traditional posture. So find whatever's working for you. Put your hands where you want them to be. Open the chest. Find the extension through your spine. Breathe deeply. Open your body up. And then exhale and twist to the side. Arms can be out or hands can be on hips. Find the strength of your center body. Go to your boundary and not pass. Drop the shoulders. Notice if you've lost your freedom here. Gain it again. Gain the breath. Find the stability of your muscular strength, hugging to the midline. Find your yielding. Inhale, reach the arms to wherever you want them to be. Place the hands down onto the ground. Step your back foot forward. Fold in half, bend the knees a lot or a little. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and step your other foot back. Left foot forward, right foot back. Finding a lunge here. Breathing as you move. Squaring the hips the whole way. Try to feel the spine get involved so you can tuck your head and lift your head, kind of moving back and forth between those two planes of movement. All right, now come into a lunge. Before you come up, seek the stability. Yield into the earth. Hug to the midline, find your balance. Seek the freedom. Is your spine spacious? Is your breath spacious? Are you taking away unnecessary tension, like in your face or shoulders? Come up when you're ready and find your breath. Arms go where you want them to be. They can be anywhere that feels right for your body. Experiment and be creative. Do you need to go less deep, more deep? Do you need to change the position of your legs? Do you need to put your back knee down? Are you trusting the sensations of your body instead of the history of what should be in yoga? Like 5 years ago, I could do this, but I can't now kind of thing. Maybe 5 years ago, you couldn't do something that you can now. All right, let's twist when you're ready, turning to the right or to the left. Hug into the midline. Notice if your hips are doing weird things. See if you can keep the pelvis stable. How's your freedom? Did you lose it in the twist? How's your breath? Did you lose that in the twist? Okay, and then unwind. Bring the arms up if you want. Place the hands down. Step back to a plank. All right, so hold steady. Maybe this is a posture that isn't good for your body. Maybe this is a great posture for your body. So find what you're looking for. Shoulders away from the ears, deep stability in through the center of you, all the way down to your heels, sternum to heels. Full exhales, steady breath. Okay, let's put our knees down. Slowly lower yourself to the floor safely, however that looks for you. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, melt back down. Let's try one more time. Shoulders back. Let's stretch the legs. The spine is long. Exhale and release. Take your arms out in front of you. So a little bit more gentle of a back bend for some. For some people, it might feel even deeper. The hands are wider. The spine grows. And then exhale and melt. Put the head on your hands. Pick up your feet and go back and forth. Windshield wipering your knees. Finding the breath. Come up onto all fours. Find your way back to child's pose. Maybe going back to child's pose too quickly is not good for your back. So you need to stay on all fours from the swivel around a bit. Walk the hands over to the left side of the mat. Open yourself up. Ribs broad, breath deep. Take advantage to find ease, stability, and breath. Walk the hands over the other way. Feel the openness through the ribs. Enjoy all the little space that you're finding. Notice if you're taking away from space elsewhere. Is your neck tense? Or is your jaw tense? See what you can free up. Come back to center. Come up onto all fours. Okay. So let's do our twist that we often do in the beginning. Reach the arm up in the air. Exhale and slide that shoulder down. Shoulders away from the ears. Find your breath. Maybe you want to be creative and do something different. You want to lift the arm in the air. Wrap the hand behind your back. Place the hand onto the ground. Dog pose that arm. Whatever feels nice. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. Inhale, reach that arm all the way up to the sky. Place the hand down onto the ground and change sides. Lift the arm up, slide the arm through. What do you want to do with this arm? Do you want to bring the hand in the air or wrap it behind the back? Do you want to keep it down on the floor? What's feeling good? Find your breath. And then inhale, reach that arm all the way up to the sky again. Place the hand down onto the ground, dog pose. Where do you want your hands to be? Where, maybe you don't want to be on your hands. Maybe you'd rather be on your forearms. Maybe that's a little bit better for some area of your body. Lengthen through your spine, deepen your breath. And as you're ready, we're going to lift the right leg up in the air. Swing that leg high. Exhale and bring your foot forward to a lunge. Come on up. Turn to the long edge of your mat so that you are wide. A lot of times in standing poses, our knees become an unstable place, or maybe our sacroiliac joints or our hips. So we're going to experiment a little bit with finding just the sweet spot. Turn your toes out like goddess posture, okay? And we're just going to be very light here for a minute, so don't go very deep. Just want you to make sure you're tracking your knee in line with your ankle. And just notice, you might need to take your legs a little bit wider so that you don't go past your ankle. So just a little bit of range of motion. There's a lot going on in your hips when you do standing poses. We're abducting our legs, we're externally rotating our legs. There's much to be worked with in these postures. So going back and forth, and just notice when you lean into one knee, is it stable? When you lean into the other, do you have some discrepancy? So go ahead and stand up. If you found that one knee is a little less stable, that you get pain when you come into flexion, go to the boundary line of that knee. Even if your other knee tells you, no, I like deeper, stay with the less deep side. Okay, so depth is not as important as stability. Spread open your feet, lift your heart, put your arms wherever you want them to be. Okay, so find what works. Spin your jar lids with your feet. So that means turn your toes out and hug your heels forward, your toes backward toward the wall behind you, heels forward toward the wall in front of you. Nothing's moving, but there's a lot of muscles that turn on from this. Find your breath. Try to open the knees, like your knees want to look back behind you. All right, and then come on up. Starfish your arms. Take a deep breath. Exhale, turn your feet forward and come into a deeper hamstring stretch here. Maybe your hands touch the floor. Maybe they come toward dog pose arms. So what's feeling good in your body? Find your breath. Then we're going to come into a deeper squat in our right leg. And maybe your knee doesn't do this. Maybe you don't come this far. And that's okay. Just go where you go. Stretch the big toe and your inner heel of your other leg and lengthen your spine. And then we're going to cross over to the other side. Use the floor so that you're not relying just on your legs for the action just yet. Stretch through your foot. Heart is forward. If your knee doesn't flex this deeply, that's okay. Just go to wherever your flexion is. How's your breath? Okay, let's come back up. Turn your feet out to wherever the angle works for your body. And we're going to just go from one side to the other. So this pose could be way up here. You know, this is your stable place, then this is your stable place. If your knee is only like 2 inches of bending to feel stable, that's where you play. If your knees like deeper, then you can play here. If your knee is like really deep, my knee doesn't like that deep. So you just kind of find where the angle of movement is for you. Now, especially with this kind of, downward energy, we need to pay attention because we're drawing weight into one knee and then the other. So pay attention to where the stability lands. Yield. Give the work into the muscles instead of just relying on the joints to hold you. Find your breath. What do you want to do with the arms? Deep inhales, deep exhales. Find the flow. And then when you're ready, we're going to stay as deep as your body says to stay for goddess pose. Open the chest, spin your feet now, toes back, heels forward. Maybe you're a little deeper than you were before. Maybe you're staying in a high stance, whatever works. And then stand up, starfish your body. Open things up, heel toe your feet a little bit closer, point your toes straight, and come down to a fold. Relax your head, melt. Swing back to the front of your mat for dog pose. Inhaling and exhaling. Yielding. Breathing. Can you find the interplay of where you feel most stable and free? Come forward into a plank. So obviously this is a pretty stabilizing pose, but maybe you don't feel stable. Maybe you feel a little wonky in your pelvis or your spine or your shoulders. And if that's the case, put your knees down. Sometimes having more points of contact, taking a little bit of effort away can be really helpful to help your muscles find the fullness of what they're supposed to do. Okay, let's find our way all the way to the floor. However that looks for you, come onto your belly. Melt into the floor for a minute, turn your head. Find your breath. Keep finding it over and over again. Can you feel the stability of the floor below you? Does it feel good to lie on the ground? Let the earth give you something back. Take that with you as you lift your heart. Any back bend you want. Doesn't have to be cobra pose. And then exhale and release. Come up onto all fours. Swivel around in your spine. Finding your breath. Spinning your head around, whatever feels good. Breathe deeply. Lengthen through your spine. Lift the left leg up in the air. Exhale and bring that foot through to a lunge. Heart is coming forward. Walk your back foot in. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Bend your knees, rise up. Open your chest. Come to your hands to your heart. Let's come into tree pose. So your stable pose might be just with your foot turned out, foot stays on the floor. Perhaps your foot comes higher. So it doesn't matter where you are in space. The depth of a posture is meaningless. It's, do you feel stable? Do you feel free? So maybe your stability comes when you have support with your hand resting on something. Maybe stability comes when you have less height with your foot. Find what's working for your body. Discover your breath. Feel that your muscular support is a stabilizing force without it being a locking force. Can you allow for some freedom to live within your breath and in your posture? Yield into the earth. Let the joints loosen. The knee is soft. The thigh bone is back. Check in with that plumb line through the spine. Are you at your most efficient place with your spine over your hips, over your foot? Maybe your arms want to do something. Find your breath. All right, and then let's unwind the leg, place the foot down onto the ground. Let go of the pose. So you can jump, you can swivel, you can, whatever feels good. Just allow yourself to let go of balance. Don't hold on. And let's move to the second side. So we're going to take our left foot deep into the floor. Maybe your right foot comes up. Maybe your foot is down lower. Maybe your foot's on the floor. So whatever you're finding, just don't let your hips stick out. So try to avoid the posture where we're leaning into joints for stability instead of supporting ourselves with our muscles for stability. So our muscles are our stabilizing forces. Just make sure you're not so locked up in your muscular strength that you can't breathe, you can't find freedom. So balance these forces as best as you can. Yielding happens when we have stability and freedom simultaneously. So feel that in your foot. Soften the knee, soften the diaphragm. Let your body breathe into the earth and rebound up from the earth. Can you feel the plumb line? Are you in your most efficient place with your body? Sometimes if you push your pelvis forward, this can feel efficient at first, but it's just not very efficient. So take that thigh bone back. Feel the looseness of your spine. Like you can bounce. You don't have to bounce, but you could. You're unlocked enough where you could rebound into movement. If someone came, if you were on a wave, or if someone bounced a truck nearby you and destabilized you, or breathed on you, or pushed on you. Maybe your arms want to go somewhere. All right, and then let's go ahead and unwind from this side. Let it go. So whatever way you let go, let things go. Inhale, reach the arms to the sky. Exhale and float. Halfway lift. Relax back down. Let's take the long edge of your mat. So turn sideways. Virabhadrasana 2. Maybe fluidity is what gives you stability. So if you want to move a little bit and let your knee and hip figure out where to be in space, feel free to move a little bit into this. And once you come, see if you can sense that your knee is going to land over your ankle and not go past. It's okay to come before and be here in the posture,
but try really hard to not let your knee go past, okay? So too deep of a posture is destabilizing. So back away if you feel destabilized. How's your joints? How's your sacroiliac joints, your hip joint, your knee joint? Can you feel the sufficient line of force when the knee is stacked over the ankle or before it? Where do you want your arms to be? Find your breath. Deep inhale and exhale. Spin your foot so toes go right, heel goes left. Feel the deep inner work. Relax the shoulders. Feel the yielding, both feet. Feel the bilateral nature of this posture. Don't just live in your front leg. Yield, breathe, stable and free. Slide the arm up, lift and lengthen. Breathe. And let's come out of the posture and come into triangle pose. If you like using blocks, by all means, grab yourself a block to put your hand on for triangle pose. So whatever you feel like you need for this posture is awesome. And once again, depth is not your best friend before stability. So if you think, oh, I have to go all the way down, I need to find this really open place, this can be very destabilizing for your joints. So less is more sometimes. Open the chest, find your feet, soften your joints, feel that the pelvis is in a stable place. Move the shoulders away from the ears. Is the spine able to grow? Is your breath able to be here? Do you have a sense of softness in the joints, your knee joints, your hip joints? Is there a little play within them? And then come on up, find your breath. Let's go ahead and turn. We're going to do the same two poses on the other side, or three poses really, on the other side. So maybe this is a side that's less or more stable for you. So feel free to move. You can kind of just play like, how am I today? How's my hip today? How's my SI joint today? How's my knee today? Kind of, move in and out so you can feel where your natural range of motion is landing, and then stabilize your posture. So remember, you can be much further back from your ankle joint. Your knee can be before your ankle joint. This is a very safe place to be. Try not to be way past. This is not such a stable place to be. You can be right on top with your knee right over your ankle, and then discover wherever you land with your front knee, figure out where your pelvis needs to be for ease across your hips and sacroiliac joints. Where do you want your arms to land? Be very playful in this posture, so experiment. Don't just get stuck somewhere that you think you're supposed to be. Discover your breathing, drop your shoulders, feel freedom somewhere. Find your breath. Do you feel stable? Are you using good muscular strength without locking? All right, and then when you're ready, reach that arm to the sky, find the reverse. Deep breaths. And then we'll find triangle pose. Remember, depth comes last. Stability, spaciousness, breath, they come first. Shoulders away from the ears. Maybe your hand wants to stay on your hip. Maybe your arm wants to come in the air. Are your knees soft? Do you have the sense that your spine can grow in length? Are you yielding? Do you lose your feet, especially your front foot? Have you lost your big toe? Can you find it moving into the earth? Feel the earth give something back to you. So yielding is stable. Yielding is free. Feel that. Let yourself give to the earth and rebound up. Notice that your muscles get a little zing from the rebound. Little stability. All right, let's go ahead and come up and out of the pose. Find your way back to dog pose again. So turn to the long edge of or short edge of your mat and extend. Inner spiral your thighs. Let those standing poses go. Find neutral. Bend your knees. Bend your elbows and hug into your shoulders and hug your knees into your hips. Feel the stabilization at your joints and then extend from there. Inhale, come forward into a plank. Hold steady. Finding the breath. Okay, and then let's come down onto our knees. We're going to turn to Vasisthasana. So your hand, your knee, and your foot line up on one plane. Shoulders away from the ears. Lift that arm in the air. Do you feel stable? Okay, if you do, lift your leg in the air as well. This bottom leg, you can turn this to be on the same plane. It's a little more balanced, but it's a little easier on the pelvis. So experiment with this leg. Where, can you see me when I'm doing? Where you want it to be in this plane. So experiment with that plane and figure out what's best for your stability and ease. Breathing. Okay, and then release and relax. And put your feet down onto the, or knees down onto the ground. Find a cat-cow. Notice how your shoulder felt in that. Do you need to make any modifications? Okay, and then let's come to the second side. So with this bottom leg, your shin can be parallel with the mat, perpendicular to the mat, and anywhere along the plane. If you always do one or the other, try something in the middle. Just see, experiment. Where does your sacrum and your hip joint feel best? And where do you have the most stability when you go to try to lift that leg in the air? Try not to let the back arch. See if you can puff the kidneys. Find the extension if it's right for you to lift your arm and your leg. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're keeping your foot down. Find your breath. Lots of work through all the muscles in your legs and pelvis. Are you breathing? Are you yielding? And then let's go ahead and come back to child's pose. Settle the hips toward the heels. Find your breath. Fall into a little ball. Deep inhales and exhales. Come up onto all fours. You can always take your forearms on blocks or your hands in fists if your joints need a little more support, like your wrists. Take your left leg straight back behind you. Actually, let's take your right since you just have the left leg in the air. Take that leg out behind you, stabilize, find your breathing. And then as you exhale, draw your knee in, round the back a little bit. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, bring it forward. Feel your glutes. Hang out there with your leg behind you. Find bird dog. Other arm lifting out. Stabilize through your core. See if you can let this be about stability without locking. So are you able to breathe? Is there fluidity and efficiency? Is there yielding? Is there stability and breath? Is there ease? Seek all these sensations in the body instead of I just must lock myself in. Okay? Place your hand and knee down onto the ground and let's change sides. Okay, take your other leg back. Hands on the floor, fists on the floor, forearms on the floor. Stabilize through your core. Keep yourself breathing. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, knee to nose. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, bring the leg back. Exhale, bring your knee in. Now when we come back, see what needs to happen to stabilize and lift the opposing arm in the air. Find the front and back bodies. Relax the neck. Melt the eyes and the jaw. Stay in your breath. Can you feel strong support and ease? Which is harder for you? Do you have to muster up strength or do you have to muster up ease? All right, and then go ahead and place that foot and hand down. Come back to child's pose. Find your breath. Inhale, come forward. Bring your knees further back. We're going to come into a forearm plank. So take your forearms on the ground. If you want to, you can always have a block or two between your hands. There's lots of ways to support yourself in this pose. If your shoulders are a little cranky, sometimes turning the palms toward each other will just change the angle of the shoulder a teeny bit. so that you can do this pose a little bit more efficiently. Try not to let your elbows come out. Keep things lined up if you can. Stretch your feet back. Find your way into a forearm plank. Find your breath. Feel the core. 360. You have a tube around you of core support. It's not just the front, it's not just the sides, it's not just the back. Are you able to breathe here? Shoulders away from the ears. And then we're going to turn this into a dolphin pose. So walk the feet in, and maybe this is not good for your shoulders, so you're making a different choice. Breathing in, breathing out. And then we're going to walk back one more time to a forearm plank. Find your core support with efficiency, with that plumb line, with the yielding, with the ease and the breath. All right, and then as you're ready, let's go ahead and put your knees down, slowly come up. Forearms are going to stay the same. You can walk your feet back or your hips back and lift up into a sphinx. Chest open and broad. Exhale and release to come back down. Pick up your feet and rock a little bit left and right. Let's roll over onto our right side. Bring our knees up closer. I'll turn on this side. So you're on your right. Knees are up closer. They don't have to be, really tucked in. They can be at hips, right out from your hips. And then we're going to just clamshell. So I find this just a little bit easier with my knees just slightly higher than my hips, but you decide what angle is right for your body. The ankles stay together and the knees pull apart, like opening a clam, okay? Just going back and forth, staying with the breath. Maybe your hand is stabilizing you on the ground. Maybe you don't want to have any stability and you want to just see what it feels like to have the arm up in the air. So just see what's happening here. What muscles deep underneath your glutes are helping with this. See if you can sense. They're strong muscles. The deep six lateral, there's 6 muscles underneath your glutes that really impact this action. So just see what you're sensing as you lift and slowly lower. So let the concentric contraction of pulling your knees apart and the eccentric contraction of slowly bringing your knees back together be a lot of work for your pelvis, for the backside of your pelvis. I have no idea how many we've done. I always forget to count. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch. We're going to go to the other side. Okay, so line things up how you like to be lined up. You can rest your head. You can always stick a blanket or a block under your head if you want. And we're going to do some clamshells on this side. Do you want your hand to support you? Do you want your hand in the air? Do you want your hand on your hip? There's no right way to be. What are you, see if you can isolate the action in your pelvis and not take it in your throat, your shoulders, your rib cage, your chest, your breath, your diaphragm, all these places that are like, I can help, I can help. See if you can let them just rest and be easy, seek ease. Seek stability across your sacroiliac joint. This is very stabilizing for the sacroiliac joint. See if you can sense that, the contraction along that joint, kind of hugging the joint in place. Can you sense the pelvic floor? Do you want to do this with your feet? Do you want to do this with your neck? See if you can take all those extra places offline and just focus on the muscles at hand. Remember, slow on the way down, slow on the way up. So feel the difference. Go fast. I mean, there's value in speed for sure, but there's also value in slow. Okay, if it feels about even to you, it feels about even to me. If it feels about even to you, let's go ahead and come onto your back, bring your knees to your chest, and rock around a little bit. So let things soothe. Now we're going to roll right over onto our side and come up to dog pose. Hopefully this will be even more soothing. So take your feet wide on the mat, like as wide as the mat, the edges, and turn your feet in. And then stretch into that internal rotation. Let the thigh bones draw back. And then walk your feet closer and hip width apart. And we're gonna lift one hip up as we knock the other knee down toward the floor and cross in front of the opposite knee. And then switch. So let the hips move. Are you feeling stable in your shoulders? Do you need to have a different choice? And then find your way. Inhale, left leg, right leg up in the air. Exhale, bring it forward. Come to a lunge and turn and open up to the side. Finding your breath. Okay. We're last pass through some standing poses. Stretch your body into Parsvakonasana. Big breath here, open things up. And then we're gonna find our way into Ardha Chandrasana. So you can hold something, you can not hold something. You can, look, I can put my head on my table. So you find you. Blocks are so nice. Find all the stability we've been working on in the pelvis. Is there a sense of ease in this? Breathing deeply, in and out. All right, and then a big giant step back. Come out the way you came in. And let's turn to the second side. Find your breath. Come into Parsvakonasana. Stretch your arm over your head, shoulders away from the ears. Are your joints landing where they need to be for stability? Can you find your plumb line through your spine? Balance the effort and the ease, and find your way into Ardha Chandrasana. Let the foot stay put. Open yourself up. Prop yourself however you need. Arm can be in the air or on the hip. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Great, and then a big giant step back out of the pose. Come on to the floor and come on to your back. Bring your knees to your chest and rock. Deep inhale and exhale. Allow your right foot to come onto your left knee and feel free to move and rock in the reverse pigeon pose. Feel free to be still. Deep inhale, deep exhale. All right, let's unwind this pose. Spread yourself out. Feel the rest coming. We're almost there, so just feel the rest coming. Let's change sides. Put your left foot on your right knee and come on into reverse pigeon pose. Maybe you have a different choice. Maybe you like the thigh over thigh stretch better. Maybe you like pigeon pose better. So remember, this is you doing you. This is you finding the vectors of movement that are best for your body. This is you seeking stability and ease simultaneously. The breath. And then go ahead and release. 2 feet on the floor. Lift your hips, scooch them right. Knees up, drop them left. Gentle, open, free twist. Inhale and exhale. Ahead and come back up. Scooch your hips over the other way. Knees come up and drop down. Chest opens. Breath opens. All And then come into a well-deserved Shavasana. So you find you. So be where you're most comfortable. Do you want to spread out? Do you want to be close to the midline? Do you need support in any way? So find the ease in your body. Shavasana is really important. It's where we really get to absorb our practice, melt our practice. See what it feels like to, all the places that you've held for stability, let them go. Okay. The places that you've tried to stay free in, can you even enhance that more? The places in your body that you made a commitment to in the beginning to honor. Some breath now. Feel yourself rest and breathe. Begin to deepen our breathing. Melt your body one more time. Invite some movement in, however works best for you. Eventually start moving a bit, coming onto your side.
your time. And carefully, slowly lift yourself up. Place your palms at your heart when you get there. And let's offer these stable forces. Let's have gratitude for the ways in which you feel stable. Gratitude for the ways in which you feel free. Gratitude for your breath. Offer it outward. Namaste. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here.